Welcome back. In today's episode, we speak with Sharran Srivatsaa. He is the president of Teles Properties. 5 years ago, they were doing $250 million. Today, they do $2.5 billion. 10x in 5 years. If you've taken your business from $250 million to $2.5 billion, no need to tune in today. Otherwise, you just might learn a thing or two.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Sharran not only serves as the president of Teles Properties, he is a sought-after speaker and respected thought leader. He has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, and a principal in an angel investment firm. Teles has been on Inc. 500 fastest growing companies 4 consecutive years in a row. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and get ready to take some notes. Sharran, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know the listeners are going to want to hear so much of what you have to share. Based on bio, man, that is absolutely unbelievable. You've got to start off and share with us, how did you take this company from $250 million to $2.5 billion in 5 years?
Thor, first, thank you for having me on. And I don't know if a lot of people realize how much time, effort, and focus it takes to, put a show together and share great, people and messages with the audience. So first, kudos to you and thank you for having me on.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah, and and I'll tell you, the story is, it's a lot. We can talk through various mechanics of this, but there were 3 really core principles that we put together as a leadership team and said, this is what we're going to go after to get to this 5-year goal. And those 3 are very simple. The first one is singularity of focus. The singularity of focus was, we're going to do 10x in 5 years. The second was what we call cadence of accountability. The cadence of accountability was basically, hey, how do you get to that goal, and what are those metrics that you track every single day? So we track the same metrics every single day to keep us on the path. So the number 1 was singularity of focus. Number 2 was the cadence of accountability. And the third one, we basically said, good process drives good results. And so there was nothing that we did that was ad hoc. So we said, hey, we would take the extra time to front load the effort on something. And it was always good process would drive good results, because you know what, Thor? The last thing you wanted was for us to hit that goal and then not have the infrastructure, the systems in place, because now we've done it all ad hoc and we've got to rebuild everything. And we wanted to build it thoughtfully as we go along so that when we get to hit that goal, we can actually regroup and get to a bigger goal, given that we had to have a bigger base. So singularity of focus, cadence of accountability, and good process drives good results.
Man, that's unbelievable that was actually your goal and you nailed it. Talk to me a little bit about the metrics, these everyday metrics. Is this for you, the management team, or is this for the real estate agents? Tell us what some of those things look like.
So a great question, right? So there are only like 2 core metrics that are visible to how we run our business, from the ability of generating revenue and growing the business. And the first one is, how do you actually bring on, it's recruiting. How do you bring on great agents that do a lot of business, who have big books of business? So one of the goals was a recruiting goal, and how would you actually go ahead and create that recruiting strategy? And we can talk more about that. So one of the goals was a recruiting goal. And the second goal was, you've got all these agents on board. Now that they're on board, they're part of the firm. How do you take them from average to awesome? How do you take them and make them productive? Those were the 2 metrics where we said, could we recruit production organically? And then could we take an existing agent, an existing producer, and actually skyrocket their production. So we always talked about increasing production and giving them the skills and the tool sets to do that, and then recruiting great agents into our platform so that they can do it. Those were the two kind of visible metrics out front that we really focused on, because when we did that, it forced us to get all the internal metrics in line to support that growth in production.
And were you able to successfully take average agents and make them superstars?
We have, and that's a great question, because the agents that we have had success with to take them from average to awesome, all of them have had a few very similar characteristics, and we call that internally, we call that the Telus DNA. And we believe that if an agent has the Telus DNA, they're going to come on, they're going to understand and enjoy and connect with the systems, the tools, and the platform that we have, and actually engage with it to grow their business. The interesting part about real estate agents, salespeople, whoever they are, they've been successful a certain way, or they've been taught to do the business a certain way. Now, if you want to change that mindset in some way, you need some kind of openness. You need that DNA of collaboration. You need the DNA of kind of pushing the envelope, cutting edge. And so all we look for a lot is, are they hungry? Are they humble? Are they smart? Are they collaborative? Always. Are they hungry, humble, smart, and collaborative? If we can get that subjective DNA, they do a really good job. So what we did, and Thor, you'll really appreciate this, when we are going out and recruiting an agent, and this can be a salesperson, this can be someone that your listener may want to bring a person on their team, we needed a value proposition. And our value proposition originally was, hey, here is a one-page value prop. Here is a thoughtful value prop. Here is a 3-slide deck. Today, our value proposition is a 60-slide deck, meaning we do 60 slides in 60 minutes. And on average, I've noticed that we have a 95% success rate when someone walks in, sits through those 60 slides on what we call our model match. They do a really good, we can actually recruit them to the firm. And we've noticed that we had a consulting firm do a study, and you talked about going from average to awesome. A consulting firm did a study that said if you're a Telus agent and you take on roughly 6 listings a year, so you bring on 6 new listings a year, which is not a lot, by the way, the Telus platform can save you 1 day a week. So what are you going to do with an extra 52 days a week? So our value prop started to become, hey, can I give you back 52 days a week in a year just by doing the existing business that you always have? You can make the same or more and still have all this time to create more business or have more time with your family. And that's what started to kind of evolve the value proposition for what we do.
So that value proposition are the 60 things that you're going to provide them, not that you're looking to get from them.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So you put together this value proposition. How do you determine which ones are good ones to hire?
That's the hard part, right?
Wait, you don't have an answer for this? I mean, we've been waiting for this all along.
That's the hard part, right? So that's been the internal conversation that we're calling the Telus DNA. And recently, my partner and I, I'll answer this in 2 ways. My partner and I, we looked at the agents that we've brought on over the last 5 years, and we noticed a theme, right? There's definitely a theme. Agents that have done really well, and all of them have this certain trait, and we started to break down what this trait was. The first 4 strong characteristics we saw were they were hungry, humble, smart, and collaborative. Hungry, humble, smart, and collaborative. And when it was really hard to figure out who they were and how you actually hire these people. So we in the broadest way of telling you this, Thor, there is no, we don't, for every 10 agents we interview, we hire 2. And we've been really, really, really strict on, if any single one of the team members that met them would not want to work with them 100%, we just don't bring them on board. And that's been hard because in our industry, the marginal cost of bringing an agent on is 0. Like, you want to bring as many agents on as possible,
right?
Just so that they would, just so you would get extra revenue, because you're paying them generally on a significant commission model. So having an extra 10 agents on, and maybe they'll run into a bunch of deals, is good from a revenue perspective. And that's how most agents and most brokers think, because they have office space that they need to fill. They may charge desk fees, whatever. But our model is very simple. Our model is, we are very aligned with an agent's production. When they make money is the only time we make money. And since we provide a whole set of resources, we want them to be hungry, humble, and smart and collaborative so that they use those resources well. So there's not really that's the hard part in bringing on in bringing on great people, Thor, is it's not highly scalable unless you have what we call culture carriers. Unless you have someone, people at the firm that are recruiting that know that, wow, this is a person that's not going to fit in the culture of the firm. They're not going to embody the ideals of the Telus DNA. They're just not going to succeed in the platform that we provide. Therefore, it's just going to be a bad fit. So it's hard. That is the one part of our business that is not scalable. And I'm at a point where I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be scalable because that's what makes us unique. That's what helps us grow. That's what helps us have the camaraderie and the culture that we have.
Well, I know also the growth. You've opened up new offices that have driven the growth, but you have a very clear plan of who you are and what you're looking for. How much did the new offices support or contribute to the overall growth?
So our office opening model is actually very different. Most firms, what they do, and this is not just real estate firms, most firms, what they do is to expand into a marketplace, they'll go in and they have the build it and they will come strategy. And it's actually somewhat required in the real estate business because you build a physical location, you build physical presence, you create branding, that creates the buzz, so you bring people on. And from build to revenue, that's a really long life cycle. So what we have done is we've changed the model where we say we don't do that unless we have a core group of agents that have great culture. We actually don't even build a new location. So every single location that we have opened in the last 5 years, we've actually opened around a group of agents that have already been at the firm. So I'll give you a quick example. We just launched our San Diego presence, and we opened 3 offices in San Diego in 10 weeks. And one of those offices, which is our hub in Carlsbad, great market in North San Diego County, we had 5 real estate teams. So you're talking about 25 to 30 agents working in executive suite space for a year before we actually opened a physical location there. So yes, they're adding value to the production, but we're not chomping on bigger overhead to just get agents on board. We're actually doing it as a partnership with them by saying, listen, we'd love to partner with you. We want to figure out the model with you. We want to establish the marketplace with you. And together we want to find the right place, the right location, and build it around you because we believe that you have the culture and the Telus DNA so that when more people are attracted to who you are and what you do, and therefore we have an office that is booming and productive because we already have you at the core and it's not taxing our capital outlay at the very start.
Got it. I want to switch gears here for a second because none of this would have been possible had it not been for you at the helm. And I know your other management team as well. But I want to talk a little bit about Sharran and what makes up your DNA and what makes up your daily principles and behaviors. What drives you, the psychology, the tools, the techniques, the habits, etc. So tell us a little bit about what your day looks like. Where does it start and how do you prepare yourself for execution?
Good question. And this is something that, Thor, I've been working on a lot. I believe that, again, the 3 things we talked about, singularity of focus, cadence of accountability, and good process drives good results. Singularity of focus, cadence of accountability, and good process drives good results. And I want to kind of pull that. I've always wanted to pull that into my personal life as well. First and foremost, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, and that's where everything starts because I've learned to believe that when you have a core, strong emotional base, everything else can center around it very well. So my day starts fairly early, 4:59 a.m. Pacific time, and I do an accountability call. I do an accountability kind of mastermind call. Right now we have 71 people on this call. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. Every morning at 5 a.m. for 5 minutes, I share a thought, a message, a lesson or learning, something that is insightful, something that's inspirational. Every single weekday morning, I share that message with 71 people as of today that jump on this call. They're all committed to being on the call They commit for 1 year. So they're committed to being on the call every single weekday for an entire year, come hell or high water, regardless of where they are in the world, regardless of what they're doing. Every single one of them is on the call every single day for the rest of the year. And so I get to be on this call. That's how I get to start my morning. That's how I get to prime my morning every single morning. And so it's just 5 minutes, but Thor, that 5 minutes is so profound because that supercharges my day, and I start my day with contribution.
Well, it's funny because one of my questions is usually who holds you accountable, but I guess I just answered that question. The 71 people relying on you every morning.
Well, think about that, right? There was one day where I was late. There was one day where I slept in, and you can imagine I had close to 71 text messages at 5:02 a.m. saying, "Where the heck are you?" And so, which was great because now I have a sense of responsibility, regardless of where I am, regardless of what I do, to be there. And Thor, you know what that's really done? Apart from just creating that structure, what that's really done is actually a little bit more, kind of more warm and more impactful, which is if you have to share a message every single morning, what it does is it just creates more awareness for who you are. So I'm not reading off a story on the internet. I'm not, picking up a quote. I'm doing something from pure life experience. And I say, and so as I go through my daily life, what it's done for me is it just made me just immensely and insanely aware of the various things that are happening around me. Maybe the funny things that my son tells me, or maybe, my wife being the wonderful wife that she is, or maybe, the gratitude I have for my friends and coworkers and partners, or maybe a struggle that personally am I going through emotionally, mentally, physically, and how I can channel that to the group. The immense awareness also creates this immense vulnerability, which allows you to kind of be and share that. And that early in the morning with those people who are there committed, man, you get a lot of positive energy, and that's been the driving force. And that's where the day starts, because if I can start it with great psychology and great contribution, I try to at least 3-4 times a week right after that. Create some form of physical exercise, maybe jumping in the pool or going for a run or working out. I do that in the morning, and then I spend the rest of the morning with my son. That's my time with him. He's 5 years old. I get to wake him up and get him ready for school, have breakfast with him, hang out with him till I put him in the car and he's off to school. And that's my morning, and that's where I start everything. And then based on where I am, I'm off to what I do on my work day, clean out my work day. I try to come home for dinner every night, spend time with the family, and disconnect from devices. And at the end of the day, just check email, make sure everything's going well. And I try to do a nightly routine. The nightly routine is just kind of, I tell my dad, just crush the gratitudes. Crushing the gratitudes every night just clears my mind so that I can sleep well and wake up and kind of do it all over again, do it with pride, do it with courage. And so the adding the gratitude part of it has become really powerful, and it's not like I write anything down. I just close my eyes, I visualize something I'm really grateful for, and I step into it, where I am, what I'm doing. And we are very grateful for, we have first world problems, right? We have first world problems.
Yes.
And so we're so very fortunate, and just recognizing, that we have that in us is so powerful. And I'd say my creating the nightly routine has what's actually helped me with the morning routine. I think a lot of people go after the morning routine first, but I think if you fix your night routine,
yes.
Now you talked about tools and strategies. Thor, I have an alarm. I have an alarm that goes off at 9:15 p.m. every night.
Yeah.
Right?
I got one at 9:30.
Right, so it's 9:15 p.m. and 4:45 a.m. Right, those are the only two alarms in my iPhone.
Yeah,
that's how it should be, because I think you want to. It's Pavlov's dogs. You want to set your body to the trigger when that goes off. It's funny, like at 9:15 the alarm goes off. At 9:16, like I start to find myself wobbling over to the bed, regardless of where I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah, I actually have it on my calendar. It's 9:30, time to get a restful and rejuvenating sleep. So. It's there, and I set an alarm as well. It's funny. I wake up also at 4:59. It's the same thing, and people go, "Why 4:59?" I'm like, I'm beating all those slackers up that wait till 5 o'clock. You've had the opportunity to work closely with some of the greatest business minds in the nation, if not the world. Tell us some of the best business advice you've ever received.
The first piece of advice that I ever got, which I love and carry with me till today, is when you have great partners, nothing is impossible. When you have great partners, nothing is impossible. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs go at it themselves. And I believe in today's world of collaboration and very niched kind of expertise, I believe it's really hard, really difficult to know it all and to have that focus and have that cadence of accountability and have somebody kind of keep you, driven and focused that way. I tell one of my partners this, who's been my mentor for over 15 years. He's kind of the chairman of the firm, and I tell him, Peter, your job is to keep my head in the game. Your job is to keep my head in the game. And it's amazing. My conversations with him are very philosophical. They're not focused on any kind of business issues, but having either a partnership or an advisory board that you can, lean on, that you actually utilize and actually work with on a day-to-day basis is so powerful. And Thor, I'll tell you this, I have several kind of entrepreneurs in my mastermind group who are kind of solo entrepreneurs who are the presidency of their companies. They don't have active boards. And it's amazing that you can see that the chokehold of their growth is their own psychology and their own ability to execute. And so I'm a big fan of partnerships. I'm a big fan of partnerships that you can really rely upon. But the hardest part is finding great partners. So wherever I find great people with high integrity, I try to do whatever possible to try to do something with them. Maybe a mastermind group, maybe some kind of joint investment venture. I love getting in business. I love getting in collaboration with great-minded people because that inspiration and that collaboration is so immensely valuable in everything that we do. So that's probably like the most, if I could share that with your listeners, that would probably be my number one piece of advice.
I love that. Tell us about your greatest weakness.
Sometimes, Thor, your greatest weakness also ends up being your greatest strength.
Of course.
And I believe that a lot of times I'm focused. I take the singularity of focus to a whole new level. I love staying focused on something. A lot of times I can't zoom out, and I go really hard, really deep, really hard, really deep, and really get obsessed. And I found that the obsession is what makes us all successful. The obsession is what gives us the edge. The obsession is what gives us something that, no one else has. But if you can't find a way to short circuit your obsession, if I can't find a way to short circuit my obsession, then I kind of go down this, kind of negative spiral about, on issues that are so kind of minutiae, right? And that's why I think my partners really help. That's why when I tell my partner, your job is to keep my head in the game, is to give me perspective on that singularity of focus. Because I would say the number one thing that has helped drive me and keep me, waking up every single morning is that singularity that we're going to do 10x. We're going to do 10x. And the weaknesses at the same time, there might be several 30, 40, 50x opportunities to the side that I may not be seeing. So having partners and having advisors that can pull you back a little bit and say, hey, Sharran, that 10x sounds pretty good, but if you just adjusted your course 10 degrees, you could go 50x with the same effort. And that's the singularity of focus that's a weakness as well as a strength.
For the last 16 years, I've been driven by the question of why some people achieve amazing results and others don't. The answer? 90% of their success came from their psychology. So if 90% of their success comes down to their psychology, what was the one thing that enabled them to produce the results that others were not? Their ability to execute, their ability to get things done. Now, we all know how to get things done, but some of us do it better than others. And some of us are not even coming close to tapping our potential. So if you're truly committed to tapping your potential and really becoming a peak performer and getting the results that you need, want, and desire? Take your phone and text the word BE Summit. That stands for Business Execution Summit. One word, BE Summit, and text that to 41411. I'm going to send out some additional information on our upcoming event that will truly teach you the science of execution. That concludes part 1 of our interview with Sharran. Stay tuned later this week for part 2. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already done so, please head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Also, please share this with family, friends, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. To make it very easy to share these episodes, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode that you want to share, and you can post it to your timeline. You just might be helping one of your friends on Facebook by sharing it on your page. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. The email is info@thorconklin. While at the website, please sign up for our weekly newsletter with additional tricks, tips, tools, and psychology on how to be a peak performer. Remember, these episodes are anywhere between 6 and 35 minutes and are meant to be consumed during dot time doing other things. Until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.